Hi everyone, my name is Kyla, and today I want to share some thoughts with you on the thinker Camus. Camus was a French thinker. He was born in Algeria in 1913, but he spent the majority of his life in Paris, but had clearly really strong ties to his home in Algeria, as it was evident in a lot of his works. He's known most famously for being a playwright and a novelist, but a lot of people refer to him as more of just a writer than a philosopher. But the primary concern that I want to focus on that he raises in one of his most famous philosophical works is the issue of suicide. And suicide really just stems from a questioning of whether or not, or like a judgment of whether or not life is worth living. And that stood out to me because in his discussion of it, he tosses around the ideas of like life's meanings for us as individuals as well as communities, which I think is something that we've all paused to think about from time to time, especially with regard to like finding our purpose in life. And so he acknowledges the idea of absurdity as a threat to modern Western life being worthless. Because like we said, this entire discussion it really just focuses on like life's worth. That's the question that suicide calls into play. And so the biggest threat to the worth of life is absurdity. And he describes absurdity as a disjunction between how we want things to be versus how they actually are. In other words, it's described as like a disjunction between our belief in how life should be, and how it should have some grand narrative meaning that there's something bigger than ourselves at work here, and then the failure of reality to like provide that meaning that we're looking for. And a lot of times it causes us to feel indifferent and strange towards life and its meaning. And so that longing for meaning, when we can't find it, it's a natural human desire, but when we can't find it, it's replaced for a longing for like death or suicide, because we view life as like lacking worth. Camus argues that even in its meaninglessness, that doesn't equate to worthlessness. And he argues that life can still be lived well even if it has no meaning, that we still have room to enjoy life by doing the things that we want to do, by living our life out in routine if that's what we choose to do. And so my biggest takeaway from that is really just to enjoy life for what it is. Don't get so caught up in like making plans for the future or trying to figure out your purpose in life that you forget to enjoy being present in the moment. I think that's a big struggle for a lot of us, like at this age in college, where we're trying to find ourselves and figure out where we're meant to be in the world. But Camus argues that like even when you feel like life is meaningless, like it's worthless, like you can't find your purpose, there's still so much for us to enjoy right here in the present moment, just living life and being.